Hello everyone, what's up? It's me again, Master 3, and yes, this is pretty much the continuation of the previous update video, or like the latest one before this one that I uploaded. I'm not really sure if this is going to be up on YouTube at this point or not, but we'll see what happens eventually. But yeah, like I said in the last update video, this is going to be the Blu-rays of the update video, but then obviously I realized there were even more movies that I had forgotten to show you, or I haven't showed you before in any update video before. And sometimes that's just what happens when you buy films from time to time. You kind of forget about which films have I actually showed in a update video or not, because sometimes they just like stuck, like shove them away, or then I kind of forget about it. So, but this is actually going to be both a DVD, actually a VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray update as well, because I realized I had some like one VHS tape, and then I have a DVD box set, and then also I have Anchor Bay DVD releases as well. And then obviously I'm gonna get to the Blu-rays eventually. So yeah, we'll get there eventually. But anyway, let's begin with the VHS tape right over here. I usually don't. I don't pick up a lot that many VHS tapes in general. Usually it's because of the fact that the movie itself probably doesn't really have a DVD or Blu-ray release, and that's the major there. That's really the reason why I pick up some films in general on that format. But this is the movie. I believe this is directed by Albert Pion. Sorry, I probably butchered his name, but he sadly passed away not too long ago. But this is the movie, or his film, called Ravenhawk right here. Some sort of like revenge movie, made for TV film from the 90s. And I have a soft spot for some of those like revenge or vengeance type of movies in general. And yeah, this one looks really awesome in my personal opinion. This came out in 94 or 95, I believe. So yeah, Ravenhawk right there. And then we have the box set that I was talking about. We have this really cool looking box set right here. The Police Academy movies, like with all of the movies right here. We have the spines right there. That's how it looks like on the top. And yeah, the back looks like there. That's all the movies like listed down there, but obviously it's in Swedish. So yeah, Police Academy 1 to 7. I've heard they really like hit or miss from time to time. It seems like they go from a pretty good standard to really, really bad towards the end of the series, but I'll have to judge for myself, because these are movies that I've actually never seen before, and I think at least the first three or so are considered classics. So yeah, I had to pick up that box set in general. So yeah. Let's continue with the Anchor Bay DVD releases. So these are pretty much like in a random order. It's not like all of the horror movies are at the same place, and some of them are like whatever. So these are randomized type of order of all of these movies. So yeah, let's begin with this stack right here. First up, we have this one, 3-disc set, The Cheerleaders right here. I really like this. I think this is a really old release. I think it's from 2003 according to the back of this. The Oh wait, can I show you that? I'm not sure if I can show you that or not, but this box set includes The Cheerleaders, Revenge of the Cheerleaders, and The Swinging Cheerleaders. I do believe I have one of those movies in like I think it's an Arrow release. I have that one like on Blu-ray, but I'm not really sure if these are like connected to one another or anything like that. But and that's how it looks like on the back right there. So yeah, could be fun movies from time to time. So those 70s ones. So I believe most of them are from the 70s. So yeah, don't quote me on that. Then we have this one. This is a horror film from the early 2000s. And this one has, what's his name? Casper Van Dien in it, who is probably still to this day most famous for playing Johnny Rico in the Starship Troopers movies. So this one is the one called The Fallen Ones right here. I've heard some pretty bad things about this one, but I have to judge for myself. And sorry for the goddamn glare. I'm really doing my best when it comes to this. Damn. Well, that's how it goes sometimes. Then we have this one. I have seen this one before. I think actually did have this one in the collection before, but I think either I traded it away, or I've completely forgotten about that I have in the collection or something. But it's the early 2000s slasher movie called Scarecrow. I do not like this title at all. It's very silly, very stupid, and very like not creative at all. But I would still say this is a very entertaining like Killer Scarecrow type of film. Obviously, the ones that comes to mind immediately is Dark Knight of the Scarecrow and Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, because those are two different type of movies. Because the one that I'm referring to originally, the made-for-TV movie, is from the early '80s, I believe, and the other one was directed by what's his name? Was it Kevin Tenney that directed that one? Or was it Jeff Burr? I think it was Jeff Burr that directed Night of the Scarecrow, and that one was released in the mid 2000s, mid 90s, I believe. And those are not really any connection to one another. I used to basically say that those are usually my favorite type of Scarecrow movies in general. This one is from the early 2000s. I know some people really despise this one. I think it has its charm, and it's basically about this poor guy that just gets picked on in school, and then eventually he has a terrible home life as well, with like an abusive like stepdad, and his mother just doesn't care, and then he just goes off the rails because he kind of gets turned into this or spirit gets into this like scarecrow, and then he's like out for revenge basically. Yeah, I really like this one. I know it's silly, but it's a really entertaining, and I think a very underrated like slasher film. I mean, it's very early 2000s, so I know some people don't really like that, but I have a soft spot for some of those slasher films from that era. And then we have this one. This is pretty much like a standalone sequel, because I don't think these films have really anything to do with one another, but picked up the sequel as well, Scarecrow Slayer, right here. And I remember this one not being that good. I mean, it has Tony Todd in it, but I remember I didn't really like it that much the first time I watched it, and then I think I rewatched it. I thought it was, oh, it's decent enough, or like whatever. But the third one, in my personal opinion, is probably the weakest one, and yeah, I don't care too much for that one at all. I kind of just picked the third one up just to complete the trilogy. So yeah, that's the collector in me speaking right there. Then we have another film with a very terrible title. Movie simply called The Ripper. Not to be confused with the 80s film with Tom Savini. This is from, I believe, the mid 2000s or late 2000s, apparently. And this one has Michael York in it. So Gabrielle Anwar is also in that one. I recognize that actress's name. I don't really remember which film she appeared in, but yeah, The Ripper. Some sort of I assume it has something to do with Jack the Ripper. That's just my assumption. It's based on this cover art as well, so you can just see it right there. So yeah. Then we have this one. This is a mid-90s horror movie right here, and I believe it is a killer creature film. I can be totally wrong, just based on this title alone. That's probably the reason why. But and apparently this is based on a Bram Stoker story. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but Burial, or The Burial of the Rats. The Burial of the Rats. This one has Adrian Barbeau in it, and that's probably the main reason I picked it up in the first place. Yeah, looks like some really hilarious garbage that I might enjoy, so yeah. Then we have this one. I'm not sure if I actually did have this one before or not, or maybe it's just like a very similar title that I have in the collection, but next one is a movie from the either early 80s or late 90s, but it's the movie called Parts, the Clonus horror right here. Just based on this one, it almost looks like it's some sort of like hospital-based type of horror movie, and I kind of like hospital-themed horror movies in general, or like that takes place inside of hospitals, because I spent so much time at the hospital myself, so it's almost like a second home for me. I know it's weird, more carb to say that, but that's just really the truth. Yeah, let's move on from that. Then we have this one. I'm gonna say it right off the bat. This is a movie that I already had in the collection, but I am a sucker for some of these Anchor Bay releases in general. So, but this is the hilarious and really entertaining movie called Hell Comes to Frogtown with Roddy Piper. I believe there was also a sequel to this one, which was just called like The Return to Frogtown, which I believe had Robert Starr in it as well. That's a movie that I would want to get a hold of as well, but I'm not really sure if that ever got released on DVD or Blu-ray. I highly doubt it, because I've heard really, really terrible things about that one. So yeah, we'll see if I ever watch that one day. So, but I mean, all that aside, this one is a really hilarious and fun movie. So yeah, Hell Comes to Frogtown. Then we have this one. I remember I watched this years and years ago along with some friends, and I remember this one being pretty good and very underrated. It's sort of like a ghost possession type of film, I believe, if I remember correctly. But it's a movie called Room 6. It's just called Room 6. A kind of stupid title, but and the cover. I mean, the cover art for this one looks horrendous. Um, One thing that is just really fascinating to me as well about this one, this is like made in the mid 2000s, and they were still making these like floating heads cover arts right there, which you usually saw in the 90s or late 90s when you had to shove all of your favorite like or all of your cast members on the front cover. So yeah. I mean, you can just compare that with you talk about like cover arts. Which cover art do you think is the more entertaining one? Is the question. But yeah, I've said this before, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. But yeah. Then we have this one, which I can't even show you the front cover because I'm gonna get flagged if I show it. Barbed Wire Dolls right here. This one is obviously by Jess Franco, and when it comes to Jess Franco, it seems like he usually makes lots and lots of sleaze. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, but yeah, you never know when it comes to Jess Franco. Then we have this one. I believe this is a movie from Thailand, I guess. Just based on all of the names here on the back, it has to be a movie from Thailand. But it's the movie called The Commitment right here. And this one is a movie that I'm completely unfamiliar with. So it's sort of like a blind buy in a way. And yeah, I gotta love Anchor Bay releases, so why not? Then we have another movie that I wanted to get a hold of for quite some time. This is a movie from the mid-2000s, I believe, with Billy Drago in it. And it's the movie called Demon Hunter. Obviously doesn't have anything to do with the like newly released anime movie or whatever it was called. I think it was just called Demon Hunter or something else. This one is from the mid-2000s, and I'm going to be honest, the main reason why I wanted to get a hold of this one is because I've always been fascinated by this front cover. You should never really get fooled by that, but that's just me sometimes. When I see an amazing looking cover art, I just can't pass on some of those. And this is one film that I've been wanting to get a hold of for a pretty long time as well. So yeah, wanted to get a hold of that one. Then we have this one, which I think is just really hilarious, but is this entire front cover, because the text right here is like written with like that old school like papyrus way, or like the papyrus structure to the letters or whatever. But this is a movie with John Ritter, and I believe this is one of the very last ones that he appeared in before he sadly passed away. But this is the movie called House on Terror Tract right here. Yeah, I believe this might be a made-for-TV film. I'm not really sure, but yeah, whatever. And we have this one. This I think is more of a sci-fi thriller. It says cult sci-fi thriller from the novel by Michael Moore. Yeah, the director of the Abominable Mr. Five. So that could be interesting. This is the movie called The Final Program right here. Yeah, I think it's more. I mean, it looks like a horror film to me just based on this cover art, but I think it's more of a thriller film. So yeah. Then we have a movie with Gérard Depardieu, who is, yeah, he's known for some controversial things lately, which I think is really a shame that if all of those allegations are true, I'm not really sure. But yeah, nonetheless, that seems horrible. But this is the movie called Going Places right here. Heard really good things about this particular movie, so I decided to pick it up. I did not pick it up because of Depardieu. I did pick it up because I've heard it's a good film. And that's always like a struggle when it comes to movies in general. Like, should I pick up a movie where I know like the director or some of the actors are just really horrible or despicable people? Or should I just watch the movie as it is and enjoy it for what it is? That's sort of like a weird like segue. Like, where do I draw the line? I think that's always a struggle when it comes to some of that. And I totally understand why some people don't like watch movies such as like any of Depardieu's movies, or any of Victor Salva's movies, of course, like Jeepers Creepers. I mean, Jeepers Creepers, the first one in particular, I am a big fan of, but I just hate the director, and I think he's a total idiot, and you know why. So yeah, but anyway, let's move on. Next one is a movie by Paul Verhoeven, and I think this is pretty early on in his career, actually. This is, according to the back of this one, from 1983, and this is his movie called The Fourth Man right here. Yeah. And obviously, I know I've been talking for almost like 50 minutes now, but once again, I'm just gonna say, sorry if I've showed you any of these movies before in like any other like previous update video, but that's just what happens sometimes when you buy movies and you get kind of like just not throw them away, when you like put them in the collection somewhere else, and yeah. Then we have a movie with a very clever title right here, The Cook, The Thief, The Wife, and Her Lover. Uh, I've heard this is a really weird ass film. I mean, I've heard all types of things. This is actually rated NC-17, and you don't really see that very often when it comes to movies in general these days. Um, heard this is supposed to be really like disgusting and really not disturbing, but more so like disgusting. So that kind of made me curious a little bit as to what's so disgusting about this one. But I'm kind of probably gonna regret picking it up, because otherwise I'm probably just gonna say, oh yeah, they were all of the rumors were true. Then we have this one. This is another one of those movies that I've been wanted to get a hold of for years now. The main reason is because this one has Gunnar Hansen in it, and that probably means that Gunnar Hansen is probably going to have a short cameo, and that's it. But this is the movie called Hatred of a Minute right here. Simple but effective cover art, in my personal opinion. I mean, this one at least still beats all of these stupid floating heads cover art, so yeah. Then we have this one. At one point, I actually didn't really like this film, but because I think this one actually ended up in one of my top 10 worst movies of the year at some point, like 10 years ago or like 9 years ago. But I've actually grown to enjoy this one, because obviously when you've seen so many movies, you tend to sometimes go back to some of those movies that you didn't really like at all originally, and then you kind of like look at them in a different manner. But this is the movie called Earth Girls Are Easy. Such a stupid movie and really silly premise. I know for a fact when the first time I watched this one, I really despised it, and I described it as Teletubbies for adults, and that's weird to say, but that was how I described it back in the day. This is silly, stupid, but still fun for what it is. It's 80s stuff, so yeah. Then we have this one. This is a movie another one with Michael York in it, and it's the movie called The Haunting of Hell House. I mean, what's up with that title right there? Now the title it's very similar to that other Roddy McDowall film, which I can't never remember the name of, like Hell on Haunted House, or I don't even remember what the title of that film was, but it was another like 70s horror film with Roddy McDowall, which I think is a really underrated horror film. It kind of really similar title to this one. I think you probably know which one I'm referring to if you know your horror stuff. So, yeah. Then we have a low budget Western horror movie. I kind of collect some of those like Western themed horror movies as well, because you don't really see those very often anymore. So, but this is the movie called The Quick and the Undead right here. Low budget garbage probably, but yeah, I'll have to judge for myself. And we continue with more Western themed horror movies right here. I think this is at least Western themed, because I mean, just take a look at this front cover eventually, but it's a movie called The Shunned right here. Really like this cover art. Yeah. And then we have this one. This is another one of those really fun, silly films. It's not like the greatest. It's kind of stupid. It's kind of not very good in general, but it has a special type of vibe to it that I'm kind of, yeah, I think it's very fascinating, fun for what it is. Body Rock right here, with Lorenzo Lamas, who obviously became like this martial artist, like in some of those like low budget action films in the late 80s or early 90s. I think this was his debut in the as an actor. I could be told wrong about that, but yeah, this is fun for what it is. So yeah, Body Rock. Then we have two Linda Blair movies right here. First up, we have the movie called Night Patrol, which I have seen before. It's a silly, stupid, like comedy film. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that I absolutely adored it, but yeah, I have a soft spot for some of those Linda Blair movies in general, and this is the one that I really need to rewatch. Some people has described this to me as a more tame version of Police Academy, so we'll see if that's really the case or not. I mean, obviously I've seen this one before, but I've never seen any of the Police Academy movies, so yeah. Then we continue with more Linda Blair stuff right here. This is the movie called Ruckus, which I had before as well. I believe this is like a really weird old like German release of that one. and I wasn't necessarily sure if that was completely uncut or not either. But this is actually only like rated PG, which is kind of really surprised the hell out of me, because this is almost like a predecessor to First Blood, like the first Rambo film. Because it's very similar in storyline, but this one actually came out before First Blood. But obviously, we know that First Blood was based on a novel, so I'm not really sure if this guy that directed this film got the idea from that novel and then he made it into a film. And then obviously, First Blood came out and that was just a big hit. And this one, no one really talks about. Obviously, not as good as First Blood, but still a fun little action adventure type of film or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it's basically about this guy against like the entire like corrupt town or whatever. So yeah. Now let's see here. Then we have a movie with Antonio Banderas in it. And what Jens? What? No, it's completely blacked out. Once again, we have another film which is rated NC-17, which is just really remarkable. Don't know why. I will probably find out eventually. But this is the movie called Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. I guess it's just something very sleazy. Maybe that's the reason why it's rated NC-17. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I'll have to see eventually. And then we have this one, which I've only heard really, really good things about. This is directed by Monty. What's his name? Monty Hellman. Movie called Two Lane Blacktop right here. This one was also released in a tin box set, but I believe that one is really out of print and really next to impossible to get a hold of for a decent price these days. So I ended up with this DVD instead. This is a movie that I always wanted to watch, and I think it's quite interesting because almost everyone that I've seen talk about this film has said it's a very entertaining movie in general, and they kind of regard this to be Monty Hellman's best work. But what I think is quite fascinating is that Monty Hellman himself has said that his favorite film of his was Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 3, which most people who have seen that film have said that is the worst film by him, and also the worst one in the Silent Night, Deadly Night series, which I thought it's quite interesting that the director himself prefers that one over this one, which I've only heard really, really good things about. So yeah, Two Lane Blacktop right there. Then we have this one, which doesn't even have a title on the front cover right here. You can see there like a lightning bug, and that's actually the name of the film, The Lightning Bug or Lightning Bug. This is directed by Robert Hall, who sadly passed away, I believe, 2020 or so, or 20. I'm not sure when he passed away, but he is also the guy who directed the Laid to Rest movies, and I think there were plans of making a third Laid to Rest movie, but obviously that sadly didn't really happen, and I think it was some sort of problems with scheduling conflicts or development hell or something like that. Now this I don't think is a horror film. I think this is more like a crime thriller drama movie. But I mean, the Laid to Rest movies are really entertaining, especially the first one. So if you haven't seen those two movies, go give those two a watch. That's what I wanted to say. Damn. But this one I've never heard about before, so yeah, had to pick it up. So yeah, Lightning Bug. And then the last one for the Anchor Bay DVDs right here is going to be the movie called The Collingswood Story right here. Pretty bad cover art, kind of, yeah, boring cover art in my personal opinion, but looks very low budget based on the images here in the back. But yeah, we'll see what this is all about eventually. So yeah. And then finally we've come to the Blu-ray section of this video, and I'm gonna start right here. First of these are basically boutique labels or whatever. But now I can think of it, I need to show you these before I show you anything else, because these were all released by Studio S, who is a great company here in Sweden. They usually release really awesome movies, or movies that you not really see in general on any other streaming service in general. So I think all of these were kind of the video nasties of Sweden back in the day, back in the day when everyone said, oh, you can't watch these movies, we need to ban them or whatever. So this is the Video Invest collection right here. First up, we have The New York Ripper right here by Lucio Fulci, one of my favorite horror directors of all time. And these releases right here is really amazing because they come with tons and tons of special features. I remember the first time I watched New York Ripper, I didn't really care too much for it, but it's grown on me, and I really enjoy it, and it's really sleazy, and it has that really gritty New York vibe to it. So yeah, back in those days at least. So yeah. And then we have another Lucio Fulci film that got banned as well. The Beyond right here, part of the Gates of Hell trilogy. I think I'm probably in the minority of actually preferring The House by the Cemetery over this one. But this one is still, of course, one of the best movies directed by Lucio Fulci, in my personal opinion. So yeah, The Beyond. Can't say anything else about it, but it's a really good film. And then we have this one, the movie The Boogeyman by Eli Lommel. Eli Lommel, who made The Boogeyman, he made The Dunwich Horror, and he made that movie called Brain. What was it called? Brain Scan. Brain Waves. That was the movie that he also made. Those are really the only ones that I've kind of enjoyed. To be fair, I didn't really care too much for Dunwich Horror in general, but after that, obviously, we know what happened. He made all of those really stupid like serial killer films back in the early 2000s, and those were really atrocious. You don't really know what really happened to him. But this one, I think, in my personal opinion, this is my favorite film of his. So yeah, The Boogeyman, the first one, because I know for a fact he also made a part 2, which he didn't really want to make in the first place, and that one was just absolutely horrendous. So yeah. Now let's see here. Can I even show you this front cover? I think I might as well just do this just in case. Then we have this one. The Toolbox Murders right here. Very sleazy and very gritty. This one has Cameron Mitchell in it, and this one just like with the Boogeyman, this one was also part of the whole video Nazis craze back in the early 80s in Sweden, and this one was featured in one of those shows where they like showed all these horrible footage or whatever. But yeah, Toolbox Murders, I mean, this one I think is very underrated. I haven't seen this one in quite a while, so I need to rewatch it, but I remember liking it because of how vile and dark it felt. It almost has like a weird Maniac vibe to it, especially like sort of like a 70s version of Maniac in a way. So yeah. And then we have this one hilarious movie by what's his name, Norman J. Warren, a movie called Inseminoid. This one I think is also very underrated. I mean, obviously not the greatest, but it sort of almost comes across like a weird alien ripoff in a way. But yeah, Inseminoid, it's pretty darn good. And then we have this one. This actually has the Swedish title on the front cover right here, but this is Pete Walker's film called House of Whipcord right here. This is sort of like a... Can I even show you the front cover of that one either? Now I've already done that, so like right here. Now Pete Walker is also one of these guys that really didn't really care about censors back in the day. He just kind of went his own way, really. But yeah, House of Whipcord. This is sort of like a women in prison type of movie, but made on a budget. I know it's weird to say when it says made on a budget, but that's one thing that I know for a fact I didn't really care too much about when it comes to this film, that I didn't really like the location very much. When I watch my women in prison films, I usually prefer them to be like in the middle of nowhere, and you have like this amazing like jail like breakout towards the end of the film. That's just kind of what you want in a women in prison film. So yeah. But anyway, let's continue. The next one is yet another movie by Peter Walker, and this is the movie called Frightmare. And I think this is kind of overhyped in a way. Not overhyped in terms of like, oh, it's bad or anything like that, but the way that they describe this to be as like one of these like, whoa, this is so messed up and this is so violent. But yeah, it's very tame by today's standards, definitely. But I think just based on this cover art, when they saw this back in the day, they were like, oh no, a crazy lady with a drill. We need to ban that film. But yeah, I do like Frightmare. I actually do prefer Frightmare over House of Whipcord when it comes to those Pete Walker titles. So yeah. And then we have another one, a movie by an amazing director, the movie called Hatchet for the Honeymoon. This is by Mario Bava, I believe. Yeah, Mario Bava. I have seen this one before, and I didn't care too much for it, to be fair. I think I have like a really... Speaking of Anchor Bay, actually I think I have a really old Anchor Bay release of this one on DVD as well. But just because this was part of the Video Invest collection that Studio S has recently released, I had to pick it up. So yeah, I think these are all the ones that they have released so far. I'm not really sure if they're actually planning on releasing all the other like video nasties over here, or like whatever that they were called, video nasties. So yeah, we'll see what happens eventually. And then we continue with the rest of the Blu-rays right here. So the first couple of like Blu-rays right here are gonna be like boutique labels, like sort of like sorted into boutique labels, and the rest are gonna be sort of like in a random order. So if there's more than one film in like within like that label, I'm gonna put those together. So yeah. So first up, we have this little fun release right here with 2 movies. This one actually also comes with a frisbee right here. Can you look at that? That's really cool. I bought this, and according to the guy who sold this to me, this is a really rare edition of this double pack right here. This is the Blu-ray right here for the movie, and that's the back. So these are actually 2 movies, and apparently this one, along with the frisbee, was only like released in a very, very limited release or whatever. So first up, we have the movie called Good Girl Stoned right here. And this one has Renee Estevez, who is the sister of Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen. This, to be fair, this is the main reason why I want to get a hold of this one. And then you also have the movie called Babe Watch Forbidden Parody, some sort of like 90s, I believe it's a 90s like comedy film, like goofball comedy or whatever. Not goofball comedy, but you kind of get what I mean. Sleazy comedy, you could call it. But yeah, Good Girl Stoned, that is the main reason why I want to get all of this one. So yeah. Speaking of all the weird editions, the next one is also very weird. You can see it right here probably. This is the movie. This is actually the slipcover right here. And this is actually the movie called... okay, the back of this one. Fail right there. This one. Side Roads. Some really weird, obscure... movie from the 80s, and the reason why this is completely blank is because you also get some weird crayons along with this one, which I obviously haven't opened because somebody tells me these are probably going to be really valuable one day if I do not like the movie, that is. But yeah, once again, I think both this release right here, or like this movie right here, along with the other one with the frisbee right there, I think those were really very, very limited releases, and yeah, I don't know what else to say, but I think those were really hard to come across in general. So yeah, at least according to the guy that sold these to me. So yeah. And then we continue with the Vinegar Syndrome releases right here. The first one right here in the stack right over here is the movie called Playroom right here. I have seen this one before. This is the original, I believe, VHS cover art right there. This is from the early 90s with, what's his name, Christopher McDonald. This one I remember I didn't really care too much about this one first time I watched it, so I'm gonna rewatch it and see if I enjoy it a little bit more this time around. So yeah. Then we have some more sleeves probably. Can I even show you the front of this cover? I mean, technically there's no nudity on the front cover, but yeah, Vice Academy 126. I had the old like box over this one, like in the first like 1, 2, and 3. But I didn't have part 3, 4, or 6 before, and I think those were never released outside of a VHS release back in the day. But yeah, these are gonna be sleazy, stupid, fun movies, I guess. And somebody tells me I wouldn't be surprised if some of these films were directed by David Koda. They kind of have that vibe to them. So yeah, we'll see eventually. And then the last Vinegar Syndrome right here release is the movie called Body Melt, which I did have before, but this edition right here is just really, really awesome with the slipcover, in my personal opinion. I think this is an Australian horror movie. This is from the early 90s, I believe, so yeah. And then the next couple of movies right here are Severin releases. First up, we have the movie which I have seen before. I'm gonna have to censor this one as well, because YouTube obviously doesn't know like me to show you this, I believe, but Invaders of the Lost Gold, which is like a really weird budget version of Indiana Jones in a way, and not really. I mean, that's really, it's blasphemous to say that, to just compare that to Indiana Jones, but it's a fun, schlocky, stupid film if I remember correctly. So yeah, Invaders of the Lost Gold, yeah. And then we have, I believe this is like a giallo film. By Umberto Lenzi, and it's the movie called A Quiet Place to Kill, which I almost confused a little bit with another film of his, which has a very similar title. I don't really remember what that title was all about, or like that what that one was called, but you probably know which one I'm referring to if you've seen any of Umberto Lenzi's movies in general. So yeah, A Quiet Place to Kill right there. And then we have this one, No One Heard the Scream right here. I believe this is a Spanish giallo. Yeah, Spanish giallo, I believe. Yeah, I've never really seen this one or heard about this one before, but really like the cover art, and yeah, really like giallo movies in general. So yeah. And then we have another Severin release right here, a movie with Barbara Steele in it, a movie called An Angel for Satan right here. Yeah. This, I think, is more of a gothic story right here. So yeah, this one also has Anthony Stephan in it as well. So I think Anthony Stephan has been in lots and lots of Western films from back in the day as well. So yeah. And then we have the last Severin release right here. This is with Linda Hayden and the sadly now deceased Udo Kier, who I think is a really good actor. He's been in tons of stuff. This is the movie called House on Straw Hill. Now this one was called something else as well. I don't really remember what the other title was, but yeah, also known as Expose and Trauma. I think I do prefer this title because it seems a little bit more unique. I have seen this one and I thought it was kind of ho-hum a little bit. I mean, it's okay, but apparently according to Linda Hayden, who actually has it's like a special feature here on the Blu-ray right here where they have an interview with her, and she actually said that during her entire career this is the movie that she regretted the most that she appeared in, so she wasn't really pleased with the end result either. So yeah, that kind of makes sense, I guess. Then the next two titles right here are movies released by 88 Films. The first one, once again, being another giallo, I guess. This one has Barbara, what's her name? Barbara Boucher, I think that's her name. This is the movie called Blood and Diamonds right here. Maybe not necessarily like a giallo, maybe more like a crime film, but yeah, don't quote me on that. And then the other 88 Films release right here. This is a really awesome looking release right here. This is a movie called The Cat right here. I'm not really sure how many movies I have that is called The Cat at this point. But this is a Hong Kong production, I believe, and this is from the early 90s. Heard some decent things about this one, and yeah, this release right here is just really awesome. Almost looks more like a VHS release to me, so yeah. Then we have some Arrow releases right here, or like Arrow Academy ones right here. First one right here is the movie called Ramrod right here. Kind of a blind buy. This is an early... Is this a 50s film? Or no, this is a 40s film. And apparently this one is directed by, I believe, the same guy who directed House of Wax, the one with Vincent Price. So yeah, that could be interesting. And then we have this one, the Taisho trilogy. Sorry if I butchered the title, but yeah, I do my best. And then this one has Shigenuru Waisen and Kagero-sa and Yumei. Yeah, those are the titles of the movies, but I'm not sure if those are like really... Yeah, I try to do my best when it comes to pronouncing those, but yeah, the Taisho trilogy, so yeah. Then the last Arrow release right here is another Japanese movie right here, and this is the movie by Yasuo Masamura, and this is the movie called Giants and Toys. And I believe this one is another one from the 50s, yeah, 1958 right there, so yeah. Kind of silly cover art, but I kind of like it, so yeah. Then the next three releases right here are releases by Mono Macabro. And you know it's going to be something really weird and strange in that case. And the first one is the movie called Love Brides of the Blood Mummy. That title is just really awesome. This one also has... This is actually a limited edition as well, so it's only limited to 1,200 copies right here. I'm not sure if you can see that up there, but yeah. Yeah. And then we have this one. This is also kind of a blind buy, and this is also a limited edition, also limited to 1,200 copies. And this is the movie called It's Nothing Mama, Just a Game. Now, this one apparently is way more sleazy than I firstly anticipated. I mean, that's just the vibes I get from this one. I thought it was more like a giallo film, but I guess it's more, has a more erotic style to it, but we'll see eventually what that is all about. And then we have the movie called The Horrible Sexy Vampire. Yeah, with a title like that, I had to pick it up. It could be bad, could be good. You never know. Especially, you never know when it comes to Mondo Macabro. Then the next two titles right here are 101 releases, or like 101 films releases. The first one is a killer creature film that I always wanted to get a hold of, and it's a movie called It, The Terror from Beyond Space, right here. Old school 50s, black and white, killer creature going around. Yeah, I have a soft spot for some of those movies. And then we have this one. I think I had the first one in this one, or like in this series before, or maybe I gave it away or something, but this is the double pack right here with Deathstalker and Deathstalker 2. I believe there's also two more in the Deathstalker series, like with Deathstalker 3 and 4. I'm not necessarily sure if they were actually called Deathstalker 3 or 4, but I know for a fact there's two more movies in this franchise. But what I've heard about this one, I think they're kind of loosely, like, I don't think they were like really very well connected to one another. I think it was just kind of like standalone sequels in general. So yeah. Then the next two movies right here are movies released by the Warner Archive Collection. First up, a movie with Paul Newman, and it's the movie called Harper, right here. And I believe, when was this released? I do not remember where I read that. 1966, yeah. And then the last of the boutique labels. I mean, obviously there's some more boutique labels right here, but I mean, usually it's just like one title alone for each like label or whatever. So yeah. The next one is a movie called Dr. X. This is an older one. This is from 1932, so pretty old one right there. So yeah, once you get hold of some of those titles in general, I mean, especially when it comes to the Warner Archive Collection, because you never really know when it comes to that, because the whole Netflix thing, or like that drama in general, you don't really know if they're actually going to prioritize Blu-rays anymore. So it feels like some of those like Warner Archive Collection releases are going to be probably really hard to come across. So yeah. Then we have this one. I have no idea if this has anything to do with the other series or whatever. I mean, it has that main character's name in the title, but I've heard this has nothing to do with the other ones, and yeah, it doesn't even have Warwick Davis in it, or the other guy who portrayed him in Leprechaun Returns. So this is the movie called The Leprechaun's Curse, which I didn't even know this one even existed until quite recently, and then I saw this for sale. I'm like, what is this all about? Heard some really bad things about this one, but I wanted to check it out for myself to see what this is all about. So yeah. And then we have a movie which I'm not really even sure what it's called, like Five of War or Five from Hell or something. Right here, a war film right here with none other than Klaus Kinski, who I usually is called Klaus Kinky, because we all know what a weirdo he was in real life as well. So yeah. Then we have this movie right here called Stingray. Right here, really like this front cover as well. 70s film, I guess. Is this like a weird exploitation film? Not really sure, but yeah, Stingray. Then we have this one right here. This is a pretty fairly like late entry into the giallo genre, I guess. This is a movie called Five Dead on the Crimson Canvas right here. That's how it looks like on the front, and this is how it looks like on the back. I believe this was shot on like Super 8 or something, like something really weird. This is from 1996, a very late entry into the giallo genre. Yes, Super 8. It was shot on Super 8, so that's going to be very interesting to see like a giallo type film in that format or whatever. So yeah. Then we have this one, which I was completely unfamiliar with until I saw this release by Visual Vengeance. Early 90s stuff, a movie called The Wrong Door right here, with some sort of like crazy Jester mask here on the front cover. This Jester mask kind of reminds me of what's that film again? Slaughter High in a little bit. So, and this is how it looks like on the main cover art right there. I really like this cover art as well. So that's something when it comes to slip covers. I usually prefer slip covers when they have different types of artwork to them than just like the same cover as the main like cover art, if you get what I mean. So, and then we have this one, You're the Hunter from the Future, which I've heard really stupid and hilarious things about, so had to pick it up. I've heard it's supposed to be one of those like so bad it's good type of movies, so yeah. And then we have another like 70s exploitation type film, I guess. A movie called The Young Cycle Girls, about some sort of like girl gang going around breaking havoc or something. So yeah, how'd you pick it up? Then we have this one, just based on this cover art. This looks very controversial, but I mean, this was actually released in the early 90s, I believe. And this is the movie called Monday Morning. And just take a look at that front cover. That's probably controversial, if you get what I mean. So yeah. Then we have a movie but a Japanese movie right here. Fairly new one, I guess. Not too new. I mean, it's from 2013, so yeah, more than 10 years old at this point. But this is the movie called Pluto right here. Kind of a blind buy, but I do sort of collect some of those like third window films releases. So yeah, I almost feel like I probably need to shovel some of these away. Might as well just do this just for the sake of it. Right there. Oh wow, great! Just like in the previous update video, I'm gonna ruin absolutely everything. Did it survive? Yes, it did survive. Yeah, damn. That's what happens sometimes. Then we have a movie called, this is a complete blind buy. This movie, oh wow. This is by that director. Well, I don't know what to say. From the director of Jeepers Creepers, damn it. This is the movie called Rosewood Lane with Rose McGowan. I think that's the main reason why I picked it up, because I saw her name on the front cover, and she's been in some really interesting like movies from the late 90s and early 2000s, and I don't think I've seen anything like later than that with this actress. So yeah, I have to check it out to see what it's all about. Then we have these two right here, Corpse Prison Part 1. Right there, yeah, Japanese one. Is this some sort of like women in prison film as well? I don't really know what that's all about, but the back of this one looks absolutely crazy right here. I'm not sure if you can see all these images right here on the back, but yeah. And then also obviously Corpse Prison Part 2. I'm not really sure if they made more than 2 parts of this series or whatever, but looks really low budget, but still looks really funny and hilarious to me as well. So yeah. And then we have a movie called How I Live Now right here. And this is another slipcover. Now here we see what I mean. This is basically just the same cover art as well, just on the slipcover as well. I think that is kind of boring. I mean, you want another type of cover art when it comes to slipcovers. That's just my personal taste, but yeah. And then we have this one. I think this actually is this has to be some sort of giallo film, right? Murder in a Blue World. And this one was released by Cauldron or Cauldron Video or whatever. And I think this is actually my very first Cauldron release in my collection, actually. So I'm not really sure if Cauldron has released that many titles in general, but I think it's a fairly new company in general. So yeah. Then we have a movie called Child Eater. Really creepy looking cover art, if you ask me. But yeah, we'll see what this is all about eventually. So yeah. Then we have another oldie right here. Because this one has Bela Lugosi in it, and it's the movie called Voodoo Man right here. Yeah. When was this released? Does not say on the back. 1944. One thing that is quite a little bit alarming to me is that it looks like it's shot in color, but at the same time I feel like this could be one of those weird scenarios when they only included like the colored version. It says black and white, but there's still colors on the back, so I'm not really sure what that's all about, because usually I want to watch the movies with their original. I mean, if they were shot in black and white originally, that's how you should watch the movies. I mean, come on. That's just my personal taste, obviously, so yeah. Then we have a movie which I was scheduled to. I was actually going to watch this in the cinema back in the day, but back in the day, that sounds weird because it wasn't too long ago, only 3 years ago. But I missed out on it or something, but so I decided to pick it up on Blu-ray, and it's the movie called The Bike Riders right here. Yeah, the Bike Riders, yeah, with Tom Hardy. So yeah. Then we have this one. I think this one is very entertaining and really fun. I mean, this almost has a weird Herschel Gordon Lewis vibe to it, but this is actually shot in the UK. And this is a movie called Horror Hospital. Yeah, this one I can really recommend. It's really fun. This is with Michael Gow, can never pronounce his name, but I think he's probably most famous for like younger audience for playing Alfred in those Batman films in the late 80s and the 90s films. So yeah, Horror Hospital. Then we have this one, a movie released by Eureka, and it's a movie called The Island. This is from the mid 80s, and this is a Hong Kong production, so gonna be really weird and really wacky, I guess. So yeah, summer vibe to that one. And then we have this one, which I included in one of my top 5 of the month for, was it like November, I guess? November or December? I think must have been November actually. But this is the movie called Whiplash. And what an amazing film. And J.K. Simmons' performance in this one is just really amazing. But I also really did like Miles Teller's performance in this one as well. But if you're ever going to watch this film, watch it for the J.K. Simmons performance. He is absolutely crazy and hilarious in this film. So, yeah. Then we have another Giallo film, I guess. And it's the movie called Death Laid an Egg right here. Heard really good things about this one. So, yeah. Decided to pick it up. And then the very last movie of this update video is going to be an 80s film which I always wanted to get a hold of, and it's the movie called Death Collector right here from the late 80s. Let's see, this is the, I think this cover art right here is the original DVD or VHS cover art from back in the day, and this is what I really like when it comes to like cover arts or like slip covers. So yeah, pretty low budget I guess, but yeah, a movie that I always wanted to see. So yeah, now I've almost been talking for almost like 1 hour right now, so I might as well end this video. And yeah, this is going to be like some of my longest upload videos in quite a while, and after this one I'm obviously kind of try to prioritize other videos like top lists or like deep dives into the collection. I'm actually planning to make a deep dive into my Arrow Blu-ray collection eventually, so yeah, keep your eyes open for that video as well. But before that, I'm obviously going to prioritize the top 5 of the month for the month of January. And then also I'm going to continue with the 2000 series where I ranked my 10 favorite horror movies for each year in the 2000s. So, but anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. And yeah, give it a thumbs up, leave it a comment or two. Have you seen any of these movies that I've included in this update video? And if you would like to follow me on YouTube, you can also consider to subscribe to my channel if you want to, not to miss out on any new videos that I upload to my channel. So yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed this particular video and see you next time. Bye bye.